Hey, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Intentional Life Podcast. I am AJ Selby.
I'm Amy Selby.
My beautiful wife. And here's where we talk about the questions that you send us and the things that you want to know dealing with life, relationships, marriage, work, your just things that you're navigating that oftentimes we don't realize need just an additional layer of intentionality that to help remove the stress and the overwhelmed feeling regarding whatever it is that you're going through. And so today, Amy, what's our question, my dear?
Today's question is somebody asked how to navigate two sets of families when you get married.
Families and marriage.
Marriage.
So what brings us together
Today.
We have that magnet on our mini fridge upstairs.
Yeah, my sister gave that to us when we got married. So
if you don't know The Princess Bride, do you even know life?
Oh, sad.
Why is that sad? What do you mean?
Because there are people who haven't seen it.
I mean, that's true. Sometimes I feel like it's a choice that they made. And just to let everybody know, if you're one of those people, it's the wrong choice.
Well, no. We have a family member who hasn't seen it just because she had never been introduced and it just never occurred to her to watch it.
That's what's different. I said for some people, it's a choice. They have chosen to not see it.
I gotcha.
They are aware, they've had opportunity, and they have chosen to not see it.
Anyway, that was a good old rabbit trail.
Look, welcome to Conversations with Us. This is what happens in our daily life in relationship. And this is
wonderful.
Us. This is real life. So if you're listening to this podcast, you must like us.
I hope.
Maybe, somehow.
Or we'll scare you away. I don't know.
Anyways, so navigating family and marriage, that's kind of broad, but that's okay because everybody has to deal with it. Like whenever you get married, obviously there is you and your spouse, and there's two becoming one in that sense. And then you both have these like crazy groups of people that you were raised in that you hope that the other person isn't scared away by. Or at least they weren't scared off by the time you got married. So,
oh my gosh.
So good. Look,
sometimes
the first time, example, the first time that Amy came to a Selby family vacation where it was everybody, not just my parents and
the whole Selby
siblings.
Side of the family.
Everybody. I prepped her. Like I had to tell her ahead of time. I was like, just so you know, everybody gets loud. Just be forewarned. We're just a loud group of rowdy people.
I mean, that's my family too, though.
Right, but I hadn't spent time with your family.
Oh, well, yeah, probably at that point. Maybe
I hadn't really spent time with your family.
Yeah.
Like with everybody. Like I've been to a few things. But I was like, I get it. I think you even said that to me. You were like, well, my family's loud. I was like, no. I understand that. I get it.
Which I guess your entire extended family, I mean, that's a lot more people than my immediate family, which I come from a big immediate family, but still, I mean, that's a lot more loud, rowdy people than...
Everybody's loud. Yeah. Everybody's boisterous. We're all laughing and cutting up and poking at each other and having a good time. Then I realized, I said everybody, not everybody is super loud. There's some people that like to sit off to the side, and those are your people. Those are the people that you sit and you hang out with when we're at big Selby family events now, and they just sit off to the side and enjoy themselves and watch the craziness of...
Sometimes I'm a loner, though.
Every once in a while. When
I'm the only one who doesn't have the energy to engage in the big crazy.
When the other quiet ones have left...
Or they engage.
Then you're just alone. So, but that's just kind of how it is. And so there are different ways of how you just navigate, family. And I think a lot of times that comes up with birthdays, with holidays, with just the preferences of families and how they do things and the things that are really important to them. Some people, some holidays are more important than others to have all the family together. Some people it's really important to have everybody all together for different birthdays or celebrations, and it's different, and how you navigate that uh, is just different for every family. And
Yeah.
so, are there any things, Amy, that we've discovered that maybe you want to speak to about how we have navigated family and marriage and how we do this? Because I don't think it's always just about holidays and things like that. Sometimes it has to do with, um, some family members' level of involvement in your life, whether it's how much they know or how much they're, involved in a decision making process and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I'll say, like, there is some stuff we've figured out, but I mean, we're only 5 years in, so we're still figuring it out. We don't have kids yet, so when we have kids, we're gonna have a whole new layer of figuring this out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like, well, if you don't get it right in the first year, you're screwed. Like, no, you still have, you got time, and things ebb and flow. And you're right, it will look different for every married couple because their families are going to be, their marriage is going to look different than ours, and their families are going to look different than our families do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it will be unique to each person, each marriage. But I mean, that was something that, of course, as soon as you get married, we got married in December. So we immediately had to figure out, what do we do for Christmas? Like, where do we go? Thankfully, I think, weren't both of our families in the same city? Because our families live in different cities. Our immediate
families live in different states.
So different cities, different states.
Yeah.
Our immediate families do.
Yeah, that year everybody was in the same city.
Everybody
for Christmas.
happened to be in the same city. And so it made it easier. We were able to see everybody that year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's, I'm just using holidays as an example because it's top of mind. But for that, our arrangement, and I know other people who do this too, whether their families live in the same city or not, we were like, well, we have to travel regardless of who we go see because we don't live in the same state as any of our immediate family.
Yeah.
So we have to travel, and it's not very often. Some of his extended family lives in the same city where my immediate family is. So sometimes his immediate family will go visit them for the holidays. So occasionally we're able to do it all together, but that's usually not the case. So we had to figure out, okay, we'll flip-flop holidays each year.
Yeah.
We'll do Thanksgiving with my family, Christmas with your family. Next year, it'll be the opposite.
Yeah.
And we'll just flip-flop that every year. And usually that works out fine for us. For some people, that may not work, and that's okay. But that is what we had to work out that was going to work. And that was hard for me because you had spent holidays away from your families. Because you lived in another state, you were married in another state before you then got divorced and met me and we got married. And so you had already navigated being away from your family on holidays. I hadn't. So I had to jump over that hurdle of not being there for family holidays and birthdays and all that. So I had to get over the emotional hump of that. Let myself feel it.
Yeah.
And you were very sweet to me with that. But it was it's not practical or realistic to spend every holiday with my family because you have a family too and we need to see them. We love your family too. We love both of our families. So, we do want to split that time. So we had to make, that just was the easiest and most no-brainer decision for us was flip-flop holidays each year with our families. So yeah, I mean, what do you have? Do you have any input on that? I know I just pretty much talked about holidays, but
yeah, I mean, we determined early on that we were going to flip-flop holidays, and a lot of it has to do with just be open in your communication with family on what your family is doing and how you're navigating it. I think that there was, um, I think there was a little friction early on, and maybe it was more of just disappointment of people not being able to see
Mm-hmm.
people, all the time every year, but just to be like, hey, this is the reality of the situation. This is what we are doing. This is what we can afford to do. And so that's how we're going to move forward. And nobody got, whacked out or been out of shape. It was just figuring out what is it that, they're going to do.
Yeah.
And what I will say that um, for the spouse, so for me, if I'm going to Amy's family, I had to learn some of the dynamics of the family. And I had to, my family, I've grown up, doing all kinds of different holiday traditions, whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever the holiday is. Um, and it's learning the rest of the family, what their dynamic is, the things that, the foods that people love that they're bringing, what are their traditions, how do they do things. And some of your stuff can be fun to bring in, but at the same time, let that family be that family. You married into it, jump in and be a part of it, and just enjoy their traditions. Enjoy learning something new around that holiday that maybe you didn't do or that you didn't grow up doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to come in and honor whatever that family tradition is and that kind of stuff, that's a big thing for you to be able to navigate and learn that, maybe your family always did turkey at Thanksgiving, but this family always does ham instead. Like, it sounds silly, but it might be something that someone is like kind of whacked out.
It's
like,
true. Sometimes it's the little things that you're
yeah,
like,
where it's like, wait, what do you
"What?"
mean? What do you mean you don't have turkey at Thanksgiving? Or what do you mean nobody makes pumpkin crisp at Thanksgiving? What do you mean? And that's
didn't know
that's a
what it
tradition that my
was.
family has grown up with, that my grandmother did. And it's just like, it wasn't something that I freaked out about. It was like, I just told Amy about it, and she was like, I don't even know what that is. I was like, how has your family lived through Thanksgiving without pumpkin crisp?
Because we've had other delicious things.
I know. And it's been great. It's like, example, my
Uh-huh.
family's always done pumpkin crisp. My family's never done like pumpkin rolls.
I love making those.
Right. And that's something that I love that you
Yeah.
do, that came from your family, it's just different. It's not something that, that we did growing up. Outside of the holidays, it's figuring out kind of the dynamics of the family. It's just the next level of showing how you love your spouse by how you treat their family and how you love their family. Because they're family now too. You're your own unit, but you still got to deal with. That makes it sound like it's a chore.
No.
But you still have all
You
of
have to
these other
navigate.
people that you're in relationship with for the rest of life. Unless there are like absolutely ridiculous things that happen that, well, there are still things that you have to navigate life with this group of people for the rest of your life. And so figuring out how you honor them, how you love them, shows your spouse how much you care and love your spouse, which is great. And so, yeah, sometimes it's just learning how you continue to show love to your spouse by how you love their family.
Yeah.
Whether it's the time that you spend with family, how you, it's like being a normal human being and sharing how you care and are compassionate about people. It's just in the different context of these people are my extended family, and I need to figure out how to navigate life with them.
Mm-hmm.
There are times where there are, family traditions and things like that maybe you've grown up with that have nothing to do with holidays, but have to do with, well, I always talked to my parents about X, Y, or Z, whether it has to do with personal life things or
Your
life
finances
decisions,
or whatever.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, where it's like the two of you and your spouse have to come together and figure out, hey, what changes about how we're talking to our family? What changes about what we're open about and, regarding our life and life decisions? Because it is a two becoming one, where it's a new family unit where you're not you don't have the same conversations all the time. You don't have the same level of openness about everything. And some people do, and that's okay. There's no judgment in that.
Well, again, it's feeling out like your families and your marriage and what's right for that situation.
Yeah.
For your family, for your marriage.
Yeah.
And it takes time to figure that out. Another thing is, regardless of what the relationships are like, well, maybe not regardless of, maybe it may depend on what the relationships are like with each side of the family or individuals on each side of the family.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you do have to decide ahead of time as a couple, like, okay, how much time are we spending with these people in this part of the family? Because maybe they're not the healthiest people to be around in general.
Yeah.
Not just for you, but like in general, especially if you have kids in that situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to make those kind of hard decisions of, it's not that we're trying to cut them out of our life completely. We still want to honor them and see them and love them, or, but we're only going to spend X amount of time with these people that's, on this side of the family or whatever. Or some people, like, you might be like, we're only going to meet with them outside of their home because their home is chaos. Their home is not a safe place. And unfortunately, like, that is the case for some people. Like, their home's not safe for me to go. It's not safe for my children to go. So
we don't have kids yet.
Well, as an example, people who have kids. Yeah, we don't have kids yet. But if that's the case for you and your family, but you still want to see your family, it's like, okay, well, we'll take them out to dinner. Like, we'll pay for their dinner. Like, hey, we'd love to see you, take you out to dinner, or let's go watch a movie, or let's go to the park. Let's take the kids to the park and let's go have a day. And like, if that needs to be your boundary, and you don't even, sometimes it's necessary to say what those boundaries are with those people. And sometimes it's like, let's just walk that out. And we don't even necessarily have to say that that's a boundary for us, but together we know that that's a boundary that we have.
Yeah.
And hopefully for most people, that's not something that you have to do with your extended family. But I know that there are difficult situations and sometimes that is necessary. So I just wanted to point that out. Like, sometimes that's part of how you have to navigate. And we've talked about agreement in another episode. We'll probably touch on it in several episodes.
I was just thinking about that.
Hey, look at us. But the main thing is in navigating those. And again, like, you may decide on something. Well, let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. The main thing is that you're in agreement with each other as spouses. They're like, because again, there's grace in decisions that are made in agreement. And not just going along for the heck of it, just so your spouse doesn't get upset with you, but like genuine agreement, or like, I don't feel super strong about that, but you do. Okay, let's go with what you're saying. And you know what? If you try that and it doesn't really work, or you're like, we need to tweak this a little, then change it, tweak it. That's okay. Like, you can always change how you're navigating if it needs to, until you figure out what works. But just make sure you're having those conversations where you're talking through how to really navigate. And if you need to get outside counsel for how to navigate a certain situation with family members or whatever, then do that. Someone that you trust, whether it's a counselor that you're paying or a trusted couple in your life that's older and wiser than you, or a pastor or a mentor or whatever, and get their input, where you're not gossiping about the situation or about the family member or members or whatever it is, but you're just like, hey, here's the situation. Here's the relationship. We don't know how to navigate this. We've talked about it. We can't figure it out. and get some really good, solid, wise input on that. Yeah. And I mean, then there's obviously families that are, you get along great with your extended family on both sides or on one side, but maybe not the other, whatever. And so it's like maybe not as extreme of decisions and boundaries that you have to have, but you still need boundaries because, like you said earlier, this is our marriage.
Yes.
This is not anyone else's marriage. As much as we love our parents and our siblings and our close friends, like this is not their marriage. And we have to make decisions for us, where we're going to live, what kind of cars we drive, like, are we having kids? Are we not having kids? I mean, I know that one can be difficult navigating with extended family if a couple chooses not to have kids or they can't have kids, but they're not really trying to throw that out there to everybody. Like, that can be hard when their parents really want to be grandparents, Yeah. Navigating that, I've seen people that I love and friends walk through that, and that can be really hard. But yeah, just making sure that you and your spouse are together and that you're not butting heads. Well, you just hate my family and you like genuinely want the best for each other and your marriage, your household, and your extended families. Like you want to want the best for them too. But how much input are they having in a healthy way? And where is that input from them unhealthy? And like some people, parents or siblings, it's real easy to tell them, hey, we appreciate your input. I know you love us and care about us. But right now, we just need to figure this out on our own.
Yeah.
We'll come to you if we need input. And some people receive that really well, and some people do not receive that really well. And so, yeah, navigating that is really tricky.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's where wise counsel can come in handy. That's third party. Wise counsel can come in handy if it's a more tricky, touchy situation,
Yeah. No, that's true. I think we've answered that to the best of our ability. I hope that it's helpful. I hope that it's something that is beneficial to those that listen. I hope that it helps, navigating new marriage or just navigating family dynamics a bit easier for you. The keys are agreement and really open communication with your spouse and with, open communication with family members when it's
appropriate,
beneficial.
And
and it's appropriate. Yeah.
And I always add at the last minute.
Big surprise there, everybody. Surprise, listeners. Amy's got one more thing.
Yes. So I almost lost my train of thought. So the thought that I had while you were saying that was, in summarizing, communicate as a married couple, these things. Also, and you were talking about being honest with each other. So important. You have to be able to trust each other and be willing to hear your spouse out if you're the one who doesn't see the problem. You're like, or you are part of the problem with your extended family.
Yeah.
Like you're not addressing a situation that's actually an issue with maybe a parent that has a little too much input in your marriage, or I don't know, whatever it is, something. And it's like, you don't see the problem with it, but it's really affecting your marriage and it's affecting your spouse. Be willing to hear them out and humble yourself and let yourself hear them out, and don't get offended that they're attacking your family and attacking you. No, hear them out that this is really affecting them, your marriage, your little family unit, your immediate family, and that it's important to them. And if it's affecting them that much, if they are actually seeing it as a problem, hear them out, talk through it, and do something about it. Agree on a solution. And if you're more of a timid person who really doesn't like conflict, like that's me. I don't like conflict, but sometimes you have to deal with it. So you have to hear your spouse out on things that are going to require you to take action to deal with a situation that has to do with maybe extended family overreaching where they should reach, those kinds of things. So I do want to just point that out. Like, hear your spouse out if you're the problem.
Yeah. That's fair. You want to close this out with a question, baby?
Sure. Let's see. Okay, I've got one of the and questions. Do we want to do this question?
I don't know.
Where do you think I waste money?
Oh.
I mean, everybody wastes money somewhere, unless you're a super stingy person.
I mean, my initial thought is that you are actually a very frugal person.
I have my moments.
However, you do like to buy a somewhat absurd amount of Amazon gadgets and gazmos and like packing organizational related things that they show up and I don't even know where they go.
When was the last time I bought? I mean, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just I have purchased organization stuff off of there, but I'm like, when was the last time I bought organization stuff? But I am fascinated by like little gadget gasmet.
That's what I'm saying.
You are messing up my words. You've got gazmos came out of your mouth, and now I'm thinking, I don't know. Weird it's coming out of my mouth. Yes, I'm fascinated by like quirky little things.
I know, and it's just stuff that it's like I don't care about it. I don't get it, and I'm like, whatever.
I thought
it's not like you're blowing all our money on something. I'm just like sure.
Why would you spend money on that?
If you want that, go ahead.
Well, I thought you were gonna say an absurd amount of makeup. I used to spend not like tons of money, but I used to buy makeup frequently. But now I hardly ever wear makeup and I just don't even care. And like, I'll buy stuff occasionally. But that's what I thought you were going to say. So that's funny that you went to organization and gadgets and gazmos on Amazon.
I'm concerned about what you're going to say though.
Where do I think you waste money? I feel like you've slowed down a little bit. I'm the saver, he's the spender. And it used to be a little bit more spendy than you are now. It's more like on experiences and trips. Like you get a wild hair about like, let's go do this and let's go here and whatever. And you also love getting people gifts. You are a gift giver.
Yeah.
You think about what someone's gonna like. You see something, you're like, so-and-so's gonna love this. And sometimes it's dumb and sometimes it's really special. But so you're a spender, but it's usually for like, experiences and gifts. You love some electronics and some sound equipment.
I do like
and
me
you're
some
like,
toys.
I want to get this microphone. Ooh, I want to get this sound system. Ooh, I want to get this mouse. Can we get this ergonomic mouse? And I'm like, I don't even
gotta take care
know
of the
what that
digits.
means. I mean, I know what ergonomic means, but I was like, how am I even? That thing's bigger than my hand. But yeah, that's where sometimes it's useful, and sometimes I'm like, babe, we do not need an ergonomic mouse.
My hand does.
We do not need another whatever fill in the blank gadget gasmet. Now you got me saying gasmet. Electronic.
Gizmo.
Electronic. You do not need another iPad cover. You're fine. Yeah. That's where, it's like, that's the fun stuff for you. And I'm like, we do not need it.
As long as she doesn't look into what I'm spending on hunting, we're good.
No, I mean, you tell me about that stuff.
Yeah. No, it's true. No, it is little like,
And we talk about
little
that.
quirky electronics and stuff. I'm telling you, whenever we have a house, whenever we build a house, I'm going to be buying so many little electronic-y things. It's going to be a dope smart house.
I don't want a smart house.
I'm going to be able to I'm going to be able to make coffee from my bed on my phone. That's my goal. See, look, I got you with the coffee.
No, I don't want a Bluetooth coffee maker. I want to push a button and it does what I want it to do. I don't need my whole house to be Bluetooth.
I know, but we can't. Look, you can push the button on the phone.
Oh my gosh. I love that it makes you happy, but it doesn't make my wallet happy.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's the same with me and Amazon. I get it.
All right.
Oh my God.
Well, hey, thank you all so much for coming for another episode of the Intentional Life Podcast. Be sure to like us on social media, comment, subscribe, write a review, share an episode with somebody if you find us entertaining or helpful, and send in your questions to the Google form. In the meantime, I'm AJ Selby.
I'm Amy Selby.
And this is the Intentional Life Podcast. Bing. Bing. That's a wrap.